by folding our ropes in half and attaching them to our sticks or rods or whatever we're using a lark's head knot. So we're going to take it, fold it over, pull the strings through the loop. Next, we are going to bring in our other string and make vertical double half hitch knots. So to do that, we're going to take it behind our first two strings. We're going to loop it in front and around and then through the loop. We pull that tight. And then we loop it in front, around, behind and through, and we pull that tight. And that is our first vertical double half hitch. So we bring it behind, loop it around and through, pull it tight. Next, we are going to make a row of square knots all the way across. So we're going to take our first group of 4 to create a square knot. We take the string on the end, cross it over the 2 in the middle to form this loop. The string on the other end goes over, behind the 2 in the middle, and through the loop. We pull that tight. Then we do the opposite side. So the string crosses over the 2 in the middle. You go over, behind the 2 in the middle, and through the loop, and pull it tight. We're just going to repeat that all the way across. Now we are going to make a second row of square knots. This time we're only going to do 4, and we're going to do alternating square knots. So we're going to leave off the 2 strings on the end here and use the next 2. And then we're going to use the 2 on this little square knot that we did up here. And then we're going to do the same process. So we take the string on the end, cross it over the 2 in the middle, the string on the other end then goes over, behind the 2 in the middle, and through the loop. Pull it tight. And then we do the opposite side. Pull it tight. And that is our first alternating square knot. So now we're going to move on to our next section of 4 ropes, 2 from each square knot from up above. Make another row of square knots. This time it's going to be exactly what we did up top, so 5 square knots. And now we'll make another row of 4 alternating square knots. We'll make one more row of 4 alternating square knots. Now make a row of 3 alternating square knots here, here, and here. Next, another row of 3 alternating square knots. Now we will make a row of 2 alternating square knots. Once again, we'll make another row of 2. Now make 1 alternating square knot between the 2 we just made. Make 1 more alternating square knot right below. Once you are finished with your alternating square knots, you should have this nice diagonal line. And now we are going to go in and make some berry knots. Our first berry knot is going to be with the 4 strings all the way on the left side. To make a berry knot, we're going to make 3 square knots in a row. Make your first square knot, you're going to want to leave a little bit of space up top because we're going to need these 2 holes here. Once you have 1, 2, 3 square knots, we're going to take the 2 strings in the middle and push the ends up through these 2 little holes up top. So the right string goes through the right hole and the left string goes through the left hole. And then when you have them both through the hole, you just pull on that so that it becomes rounded and you have a berry knot. And then we're just going to secure that with a square knot. Just like that. And now we're just going to continue making berry knots following along our diagonal line for a total of 5. So we're going to take our next section of 4 and create a berry knot just as we did before. go. Once you finish your berry knots, you should see that they also follow along that nice diagonal line. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take care of these pesky ends that we created when we did our vertical double half hitch knots. And so what we're going to do is flip our project around and I'll show you how to tuck them in. Okay, so this is what it looks like turned around. This is the back side of our project. And now what I am going to do is take my scissors and trim my ends. Then I'm going to tape them because they're going to fray and start to unravel, and that will make it hard to tuck them in, and then I'll tuck them in. So as you can see, I have now trimmed and taped my ends. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip over the very first little loop here and weave it in the second one. It might be a little tight, so if you need help from a needle or some kind of hook to push it through, that might be helpful. Otherwise, just loosely pull the loops out and shove your ends in there. And there you go. I've tucked this one on the left through the second loop, and the one here on the right I tucked through the third because it was just a little longer. If you need to weave it through multiple loops, you can also do that. That adds it to be a little more secure so an end won't flop down. But do whatever you prefer, basically. So as you can see, my ends are now completely hidden. You can't tell they were there at all. And that is what your project should look like. And now we are gonna go and we are going to trim our ends to make them even. I'm gonna trim mine so it's just straight across, but you can also trim yours to follow our diagonal pattern. Whichever you prefer, there's no rules. Once you have all your ends trimmed to your desired length and style, then you can go ahead and unravel the ends to make a pretty frayed texture. That is completely optional. You can leave it as is, but I'm gonna go ahead and unfray my ends.